So there are different styles of hearing aids, and we're going to primarily talk about the ones that have the body of the aid behind the ear with a receiver wire that wraps around the ear and is inserted into your ear. The aids that are fully inserted into your ear do operate very similarly with the cleaning process, and we will discuss that. In addition, every person has different ears and different consistencies of wax, different shapes of ear canal, so the cleaning process is going to be different from one person to the next. In the beginning, when you first start wearing hearing aids, you're not going to know how often you will be doing certain parts of this process. So we will walk through kind of how to gauge that. You could get your new hearing aids and potentially never have to really clean them, because you don't generate wax, or the wax that you generate doesn't migrate into your hearing aid. You could also be a person who doesn't generally have too much wax in their ear, but somehow your hearing aid just accumulates material and does need to be cleaned a little more often than the next person. So let's start by talking about the parts of the hearing aid that are inside your ear and why it's so important that wax does not migrate into the hearing aid. So these are some examples of behind the ear hearing aids that have a receiver wire. The dome or sleeve or tip that we put on the end of a hearing aid is called a coupling. While everybody has a different coupling, the process is the same for cleaning them. So you may want to start with maybe once a week or every 3 days at first to just take a look. So you want to take the tip off, and usually you could just pull it off. There are some types that snap off. And to snap them off, you would want to get up underneath the ridges here on the soundboard and just kind of snap it off. Once you've removed your coupling, put it on a paper towel and just roll it around. And just get the wax out of it, okay? You can pinch it around. The idea is just to get any wax buildup out of the tip. And that's going to be the same process for the closed tips as well. Same thing. You're just going to take it, pinch it around, get the wax out of it, and make sure it's clear. The center hole of that coupling is where the sound of your hearing aid comes out. If that hole is clogged with wax, no sound is going to be coming out of that hearing aid. All the magic that's happening in here isn't going to make it out of here if there's wax covering the tip. So now that you have a clean coupling, we're going to go a step further and we're going to take a look inside our hearing aid. So after you take off the tip of your coupling, you'll see a speaker box. It's usually going to be shaped like a square or rectangle, and this is where the sound comes out of your hearing aid and into your ear. The tip of this box is going to have a usually white circle on it, or it could be a triangle. And this is called a wax trap, a wax screen, a wax guard, a number of different names. The purpose of this device is to keep wax from getting inside your speaker box. We don't want wax to get into the electronics of your hearing aid. There's usually a screen right here in the middle of this little wax guard. There are different kinds that operate differently. So this is a different brand of hearing aid that has a different type of wax guard inside. And it looks like a little white nub or a little white point sticking out of the center. Another type of tip that you may have is called an ear mold. Ear molds can be made of silicone or acrylic or titanium, and these are molded to your ear. They also have wax protection on the tips as well. So once you take off your coupling and you look inside your speaker box, how do you know if there's wax in it? If your wax guard is a circular ring like this, the inside of that hole should be fairly dark. It's usually got a screen inside of it and it's dark. So wax builds up in the center of that hole, and it can have a yellowish color to it. And then in the Sonova product tip, where you have the little nub in the middle, you may see some kind of yellowish buildup around that nub. Every time you take your coupling off and clean it, the next thing you want to do is you want to brush out your wax guard. So this little brush, it's got just a little bristles on it. And most of the time, a lot of times you'll see a little loop at the end, a little metal ring. It's a little hard to see that. But this is a tool that you're going to use to clean the tip. Okay, so you're going to want to take this little brush and just kind of brush out that hole. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just taking the brush and I'm just kind of brushing out the holes in this wax guard just to kind of keep it clean. Okay, you may want to kind of brush off the soundboard here, just kind of go around those ridges and just get all the wax off of it. Okay. Same goes for the hearing aid with the little nub in the middle. You're going to just do the same, just kind of brush it out. By brushing out your wax guard every time you take off that coupling and clean it, what you're doing is you are slowing the process of wax buildup in your hearing aid. So it's a good idea to always give it a little brush. So this is something you're going to want to do regularly. You may want to do it twice a week, once a week. Some people do it once a month if they don't see anything building up in the hearing aid. So you may notice that even though you're brushing out your hearing aid regularly, that at some point over the first couple weeks or couple months of having new hearing aids, that suddenly it doesn't seem like you're hearing as well as you were. 9 times out of 10, it's the wax. You just need to clean your hearing aids. It is very unlikely that it is the hearing aid that is the problem. It can happen, but it is most likely they just need to be cleaned. So next we're going to talk about changing wax guards. So these tips, even though you brush them out, they may build up wax and the brush isn't getting it out. In this case, we're going to want to change it. So now I'm going to walk through the process of changing a wax guard, and this process will be different from one brand to another. So if you have a hearing aid that has the circle in the tip, you're most likely going to have something like this in your kit. This is a pack of wax guards meant to be used every couple of months. You want to do this as a routine process just because the wax guards do get brittle and weak over time, and we want them to stay strong and do their job. So even if you don't have wax buildup, it is a good idea to change these every, maybe 2 to 3 months just to make sure they're nice and sturdy and doing their job. So with the hearing aids that have the circle, you're probably going to have something like this in your box. These are new wax guards, and they look like this. They're little sticks. So these sticks you want to be gentle when you're pulling these out because the new wax guard is on the other end. Okay? So if you yank it out too quickly, the wax guard might fall into the bottom of the pack, and it's a little more difficult to change when it's not on the stick. So new wax guard, and this other side, this is going to be the end that you're going to use for taking the old one out. So the difference between the two sides of the stick, one side of the stick is going to be more rugged looking, and it's got a hook on it or a screw, and the other side is going to be a smoother, rounder side, and that's going to be where the new one is. This is important because when you take this wax guard, let me come down here with the white behind it. You take this stick and you take the tip of your hearing aid and you're going to stick that stick straight into that hole. Okay? It can be hard to see. If you got a young, fresh pair of eyes in your life, a neighbor, a grandchild or something that can help you with this, that's wonderful. Have them watch this video. So you take this stick and you stick it straight into that hole, straight into your hearing aid, okay? So I've got it inside it, all right? So now it's locked into that wax guard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull it out. And now you see the old wax guard is on the stick. It came out of the hearing aid. You no longer see that white circle. It is now a hollow hole. It is metal and shiny, that's why you can't tell, but it is a hole. So now you've got one on each side. Which one is the new one and which one is the old one? Well, remember I said that the more rugged side with the points on it is going to be the old one. The smoother, rounder side is the new one. Now, if you tried to stick the old one back into the hearing aid, I put it in and I pull it out. It's still on the stick. It did not go into my hearing aid. It is stuck on there because it is garbage. So we're going to turn the stick over to the smoother, rounder side and take this new wax guard and stick it straight into that hole. All right, put it straight in. And now I'm just going to kind of gently peel it off. And now there is a new wax guard in this hearing aid. I'm just going to push it down, just make sure it's nice and secure, okay? And now you should hear sound coming out of your hearing aid again if that was your problem. So after you do this, you're just going to slip your tip back on, your coupling, your sleeve, dome, right back on the tip. Now, there are little ridges inside of it that make it easy for it to slide. You kind of want to go at an angle and just kind of wedge it on. Now, when you put it back on, you always want to make sure that it's all the way down over those ridges, okay? There's some little ridges at the top of this rectangular box. Make sure it's all the way down to it and covering all of those ridges because you don't want this coming off in your ear. So you want to make sure it's nice and secure, okay? So that is how you change a wax guard with this type of hearing aid. Next, I'm going to show you the kind that have the little nub in the middle. So this is a Sonova product. In my experience, I use, this is Phonak or it's going to be Unitron. So this is, or Relate. So this little nub in the middle, okay, eventually you're cleaning it out with your brush. It doesn't seem to be working, you're not hearing, or it's just been a couple months and it's time to change it. So these are going to look a little different. You're going to get a square box with these, okay? And you'll find a wheel, a CeruShield wheel, okay? So this is a little different. You've got, as you can see, you've got a number 1, and it has a garbage can on it. So number 1, take out the trash. Number 2, put a new one in. And you'll see there's little arrows on it that indicate which direction you need to turn it, okay? So we're just gonna follow the arrows, and we're gonna slip it over to where you see a new wax guard in the 2, okay? If you're seeing wax guards here in the 1, the garbage can, we want to throw away the old wax guard in this garbage can. So if there's already something there, we need to move down to the next one. Just keep going until you find an open slot on the 1. Okay, the 1 is where we're going to put the garbage. So we're going to take this hearing aid, and I'm going to, this is going to be a little harder to do holding up, but I'll try. So we're going to take this tip and we're going to stick it into that garbage can hole, okay? Now, if you notice, you might not be able to see this, but the tip of this hearing aid is curved, okay? The soundboard kind of curves down. You want to take that into account when you're trying to push it into this hole, because you're not pushing it straight in. You're going to be pushing it kind of a curved angle to align with the shape of that soundboard, okay? So I'm sticking that straight into that hole, and I'm going to snap it in, okay? It's a solid little snap, okay? So now the hearing aid has been stuffed into this 1, all right? Now I'm going to pull it out. Now notice there is now a wax guard in the garbage can, and there is no little white nub inside of this hearing aid. It is now a hollow, there's a little metal down there so it's shining in the light, but it is empty. It is a hollow hole. Okay, so now we're going to go to step 2, putting the new one on. Remember, garbage is in the first one. We're going to step 2. So we're going to put this hearing aid back into the shield in the second hole. And remember the angle. Remember, be careful to push it at a kind of an angle. Make sure you find that curve and push it in at an angle, and you're going to snap it in there. And when you pull it out, the 2 no longer has a wax guard because it is now inside this hearing aid. So that is how you change that type of wax guard. Now I'm going to talk about ear molds and custom hearing aids because they generally do operate the same way. This ear mold has one of those same circular tips. It's the exact same process as it was with the behind the ear hearing aid, and it's going to be the same for most of your custom hearing aids as well. So you're going to follow that same process Remember what I said about being gentle pulling out the stick? And the new one is here. Turn it over, stick it in the hole, pull off the old one, turn it over, stick the new one in, stick the new one in, stick the new one. I kind of rigged this so that I could do this demonstration. So, new one. It's a very simple process once you get the hang of it. So that's the process for changing your wax guard. There are some exceptions. There are a few hearing aid types that operate a little bit differently, but for the most part, this is the process that you'll follow. So if you are my patient and you're having some issues, call me. I will walk you through it, or you can always stop into the office during our service hours and I can take care of it. I will be posting this video on YouTube, so if you're not my patient and you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And if you like this video and you find it helpful, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and anything that I make for my patients, I'll post it on this channel as well so that you can see those as well. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Keep your hearing aids clean, and I'll see you next time.